¿Qué onda? This is Shista Garcilaso. Aztlan Weekly is a volunteer-based community news outlet. Our work is brought to you by the contributions of El Partido Nacional de la Raza Unida, PNLRU, also known as La Raza Unida Party. If you're interested in learning more about the party or want to join, visit www.razaunidaparty.org. Our show is also brought to you by Maíz Papin Press, a raza-based publisher producing cultura para la raza. For more info, visit their webpage, www.maizpapin.com, or find them on social media by searching at Maíz Papin Press, and keep a lookout for their upcoming book, Once Upon a Time in Occupied Aztlan, by El Indio, copyright 1985. Lastly, Aztlan Weekly is made possible by you, the listener. If interested in offering further contributions or support, visit www.aztlanweekly.com. And now, on with the show.
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
There is a signal broadcast every second of every day. Look around the environment we live in. Carbon dioxide, fluorocarbons, and methane have increased. We are resourced to them. They want benign indifference. They want us drugged. We could be pets. We could be food. But all we really are is livestock. Our impulses are being redirected. We are living in an artificially induced state of consciousness that resembles sleep. The poor and the underclass are growing. Racial justice and human rights are non-existent. They have created a repressive society, and we are their unwitting accomplices. Their intention to rule rests with the annihilation of consciousness. We have been lulled into a trance. They have made us indifferent to ourselves, to others. We are focused only on our own gain. Please understand, they are safe as long as they are not discovered. That is their primary method of survival. Keep us asleep, keep us selfish, keep us sedated.
¿Qué hubo, raza? Yo soy Ernesto Ayala, and this is Aztlan Weekly.
¿Qué rollo con el pollo, raza? Yo soy El Indio, and this is Aztlan Weekly. We begin con noticias desde Aztlan, Colorado. As reported by our camarada Robert Ramirez, a Denver community alert. Neighbors across Colorado are raising concerns after reports that ICE agents left Ace of Spades playing cards, sometimes called death cards, inside vehicles following immigration detentions. The incidents were reported in Eagle County and are now under federal review, with Colorado lawmakers calling for an investigation and more transparency. According to local reporting, the cards included information tied to the ICE Denver field office, and the Department of Homeland Security has said it condemns this type of behavior and is conducting a review. While these specific cases were reported outside Denver, many families here are feeling the impact and uncertainty. Stay informed, check on your neighbors, and share verified information only. If you witness enforcement activity, prioritize safety and documentation only when safe to do so. Y en otras migra-related news brought to us by our camarada Andrea Martinez desde Crazy Town, Nuevo Mexicatlan, New Mexico. A major immigration reform bill has just been sent to the desk of Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham after passing the New Mexico Senate this week. The legislation, known as the Immigrant Safety Act or House Bill 9, aims to end the state's involvement in federal immigration detention contracts that allow the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, La Migra, to hold people in facilities across Nuevo Mexico. Under the measure approved by the Senate, state and local governments would be prohibited from entering into or renewing agreements with ICE to detain individuals, that is, to detain individuals for civil immigration violations. The law would also bar the use of public land or public resources for the purpose of housing people under federal immigration detention, and it would end local law enforcement cooperation under programs that turn county and city police into migra or immigration agents. Supporters of the bill say it will end New Mexico's role in the federal system they describe as inhumane, harmful to families, and counter to the state's values. They argue ending these contracts will help build trust between immigrant communities and migrant communities, undocumented communities, and local authorities, and keep families together. Opponents, including some rural lawmakers, have raised concerns about the economic impact on counties that benefit financially from detention contracts and the potential job losses if facilities reduce or end operations. Despite those disagreements, the Senate approved the bill and sent it to the governor for her consideration. Our camarada also reports, according to the Los Alamos Daily Post, Governor Lujan Grisham has signaled support for similar measures in the past, and observers say she is expected to sign the bill into law. If signed, New Mexico would join a growing list of states limiting local and state cooperation with federal immigration detention programs. Y noticias desde Los Aztlanqueles, Los Angeles Califas. In a bizarre quote-unquote reverse racism lawsuit filed by the 1776 Project Foundation, an organization largely criticized for downplaying systemic racism and slavery in the Americas, alleges that Los Angeles Unified School District, LAUSD, discriminates against white students by prioritizing resources at schools with predominantly raza, or so-called Latinos or Hispanics, Asian, and Black estudiantes, through its PHBAO, predominantly Hispanic, Black, Asian, or other non-Anglo program. Critics argue this suit ignores ongoing segregation and the original intent of the program, which stemmed from the 1970s desegregation effort to support historically marginalized communities, including raza. Experts believe the lawsuit, which frames the program as racial favoritism, has the potential to advance and challenge decades of progress in the Los Angeles Unified School District. And in wildlife-related noticias desde Sur Califas, according to several news outlets, the sightings of coyotes in Sur Califas has grown within the last 2 months. Particularly, Los Angeles has reached an unusual abundance in sightings so far this year, driven largely by the peak of their breeding season, which typically spans from January through March. During this period, adult coyotes become significantly more active and territorial as they travel longer distances in search of mates and food, frequently venturing deep into residential neighborhoods like West Hollywood, Del Rey, and Mar Vista. The surge is further intensified by urban habituation, as the animals lose their natural fear of humans due to easy access to quote-unquote free buffets, like unsecured trash, basura, fallen fruit, and outdoor pet food. Residents have reported increasingly bold behavior, including daytime sightings and encounters where coyotes appear unfazed by human presence or even charge toward the walkers. To mitigate risks, authorities at the California Departamento of Fish and Wildfire urge the public to secure attractants, and supervise small pets closely to ensure a safer coexistence with these highly adoptable urban neighbors.
We'll be right back after a word from our contributors.
I'm Scott Russell Duncan, a Chicano writer, editor, and AztlanWeekly reporter with the widest name. AztlanWeekly is produced in association with Maíz Poppin' Press, where we publish radical imagination and resistance writing that pops. Visit maizpoppin.com. We're also in association with the Palabras del Pueblo Writing Workshop, an affordable and accessible online workshop that centers La Raza and strengthens our own literary institutions. Writing that speaks to our community first and loudest. See more at palabrasdelpueblo.com.
And now back to Aztlan Weekly.
And in Bay Area Califas news, according to the San Pancho or San Francisco Chronicle.com, a seismic swarm, what many consider a moderate earthquake or cluster of earthquakes, occurred earlier this week centered near San Ramon, Califas, included approximately 75 earthquakes in a single day, peaking with a magnitude 4.2 tremor on February 2nd. While such swarms are characteristic of the area, experts indicate they do not necessarily predict a larger earthquake, but serve as a reminder of the Bay Area's seismic risk. And now noticias desde Aztlan, Utah. According to ABC4.com, a crazed 28-year-old man from Centerville, Utah, was arrested for allegedly assaulting Florida Congressman Maxwell Frost during the Sundance Film Festival on Friday night, January 23rd. The incident occurred at the High West Distillery in Park City, Utah, during a private party hosted by Creative Artists Agency, CAA. Police reported that the suspect entered the event by jumping a fence and using an unauthorized access pass. Witnesses and court documents indicate the attacker targeted Frost with racially charged remarks and threats before the assault. And back to Colorazlan. According to the Denver Gazette, Colorado lawmakers are considering a proposal to increase earned time for inmates to address prison overcrowding. The legislation would allow incarcerated individuals to reduce their sentences through educational programs or good behavior. Supporters argue this incentivizes rehabilitation and safely reduces the prison population, while critics worry about public safety and the message to victims. State officials say the current system is a breaking point, requiring innovative solutions, and the bill targets nonviolent offenders. Meanwhile, the cost of housing inmates is rising, straining the state budget. Spensa, damas y caballeros, we seem to be experiencing some technical difficulties. I don't know, just put it in a tape.
Ladies and gentlemen, we seem to be experiencing some technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Some girls are with their vatos. We gotta flip these tacos. The hustle ain't in vain while your blood flows through my veins. For all the time, all the pain, for my people in the game. Mujeres MCs, lo traemos once again.
Hey, that was pretty dope.
Thanks.
We're actually having a little local talent showcase next week in MacArthur Park. You should hit me up.
Mommy, get back to work.
What the fuck, bro? I got a business to run here.
Come on, man. I can help her.
Bro, this is my taco, bitch.
I'm just trying to get her.
Años han pasado, yo no muero rimo, esto es un sabor de antaño, año tras año, es la capacidad de andar peldaño a peldaño, cortando lenguas con mi lírica, a los machos hago daño, alto, arriba las manos, cortando el cuello, esto es un asesinato del rey a plebeyo, la misma suerte de siempre, el pobre paga con la muerte, arrastrando con sigilo el filo, de largo camino, de las que pasaron diario el trago amargo, de las nadie, las que nunca, las que cargan en su nuca cadenas de hambre, roban por necesidad y no por el desmadre. Preguntas por qué la estamos sembrando, toda esta cultura la que nos va alimentando. No estamos jugando, más bien estamos creando. Boom, fire. Hablando, a mí no me representa la clase opulenta, lo mío no es una fase, protesta, revuelta, tampoco es una moda, rap que incomoda en la base, se hace conciencia de clase en el barrio, donde las rimas renacen, más tarda la flor en sembrarse que en darse, femina fatal, vino para quedarse, nació para gritar, nunca para callarse, haciendo comunidad en cada ritmo, cada frase, me distingue el contenido, lo de afuera es camuflaje, dime de qué has carecido si nunca has sido migrante, en esta vida de frontera delirante, derechos humanos no te da garantes, vidas de ambulantes, caminar es desgastante, sobrevivir es la pregunta, la respuesta es en qué parte. On the streets, we do it on a beat. You know we break it down, push, play, and repeat. I'm humble with no greed, no vulture to the meat. You know I got the sound, you know I got the hit. Esto va por mis hermanas, we don't stop. Rebelión urbana, rebelión hip hop. Abajo las fronteras, yo creo en la humanidad. Unión, respeto y comunidad, hip hop.
Thanks for hanging in there, listeners. Now back to Aztlan Weekly.
And we're back, Raza. That was a song by Femina Fatal called Voces en Movimiento, produced by Baja Bands and Millennium Crop Entertainment. For more from our hermana, Femina Fatal, you could find her on Instagram by searching Femina Fatal. Now news from Arizona Aztlan. According to Calo News, Tucson leaders are considering establishing a raza-based Chicano cultural center to preserve the region's heritage. The proposed center would provide a dedicated space for cultural education, community organizing, and showcasing Chicano or Mexican-American contributions addressing the lack of a central municipal facility for this demographics legacy. Early discussions involve potentially using an existing city or using an existing city building or finding a new site. The funding strategies including public-private partnerships. With funding strategies including public-private partnerships. The project aims to educate younger generations about the Chicano movement and ensure diverse history is represented in public spaces. And back to Nuevo Mexicatlan, Nuevo Mexico, New Mexico. According to the SafeWise.com study, analyzing 2025 crime data, the city of Anthony in New Mexico has been ranked the safest city in the state for 2026, moving up from second place the previous year. The city reported 0 cases of rape and 0 robberies during the study period, and its property crime rates have decreased for 2 consecutive years. And now, news from Nevada, Nevada. According to a news report by the Reno Gazette Journal, rgz.com, new U.S. Census data for 2026 indicates a significant slowdown in Nevada's population growth, primarily due to a sharp decline in international migration between 2024 and 2025. Economists from the University of Nevada, Reno, and the Nevada Small Business Development Center expressed concerns that this decline, coupled with stagnant birth rates, will pose long-term cultural challenges for the state's economy, impacting sectors like construction, hospitality, and higher education. Y en otras noticias desde Nevada, as reported by KOLOTV.com, a gray wolf, believed to be a dispersing adult from a California pack, was documented traveling from Truckee, Califas, into northern Nevada. Wildlife officials from California and Nevada confirmed the sighting, noting the rarity of wolves in Nevada. Residents are advised to secure attractants and watch pets, as gray wolves are protected under the Endangered Species Act in Califas and are considered a protected mammal in Nevada, making it illegal to harm them. Y en noticias desde Tejaslan, according to KFoxTV.com, federal officials have confirmed measles outbreak at the Dilley Immigration Processing Center in South Texas, with the Texas Department of State Health Services confirming 2 active cases on January 31st of this year. In response, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement has stopped all movement within the facility and suspended transfers, placing anyone suspected of contact in quarantine.
And now, eventos en Aztlán.
Greetings and saludos, Aztlan Weekly. This is Hashid Kasama Quintos Kasama, located in the Greater Fresno area, Hanford, Califas. I would like to report on upcoming events. We do have from the Chicano Youth Center and Mothers Helping Mothers, Hijas de Tonantzin, a winter clothes drive for the community of Mendota, Califas. Clean, warm clothing for men, women, and children. Boots, socks, scarves, hats, blankets, hoodies, gloves, beanies, jackets y todo. Hygiene products for men and women. Deodorant, razors, pads, diapers, shampoo, toothbrushes, toothpaste, 3-in-1 body wash. There will be a donation drop-off located on the west side, Chinatown in Fresno, Barrio China, at 1435 Fresno Street. Suite number 13. Once again, that's 1435 Fresno Street, suite number 13. Open Monday through Friday, lunes a viernes at 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Immigration Assistance Office. Make sure the items are clean. All clothing will be accepted as long as the items are clean. And we also need help with volunteers for the Chicano Youth Center. Please message if you can help. You can go to the Instagram page at Chicano Youth Center Fresno. The official food distribution will be taking place on February 15th. Once again, that's February 15th in the community of Mendota, Califas. You can also contact Irene Parasarano at area code 559-942-0708. Once again, if you have questions, contact Irene at 559-942-0708. This is Hashid Kasama, Quintos Kasama, reporting for Centro Califas Region, Aztlan Weekly.
Hi, my name is Alejandra Avalos. I'm the social media intern here at Plaza de la Raza. We're going to be opening up the Boathouse Gallery for our Almas Espinadas exhibition. We are looking for Los Angeles-based artists, and all submissions will be reviewed by a panel of judges. If you're interested in applying for our exhibition, check out the link in our bio. The gallery will be up between February 13th and February 28th. Let's take a look at the place. So this is where your work could potentially be shown. For this show, all forms of media will be accepted. Feel free to submit anything. Ideally, we're looking for work that is bold, unconventional, and challenges the norm. So not only are we having the gallery, but we're also going to be having a market. If you're unable to make it into the gallery, feel free to submit for our vendor application, where you can sell your work or sell food, clothes, etc. So if you're an artist from Los Angeles, or if you know somebody who might be interested, share the link and submit your work. Good luck to everybody, and we hope to see you here.
For more information on this artist call, search Plaza de la Raza on Instagram or visit their webpage, plazadelaraza.org.
Y otro evento en Los Aztlanqueles on the UCLA campus.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrea, a fourth year here at UCLA and the project coordinator of BRAID at the American Indian Studies Center. BRAID is Books and Resources for American Indians in Detention, and we've been operating since 2012, providing culturally relevant and tribally specific books for incarcerated American Indians. Our goal is to ensure that Native Americans have access to preserving their knowledge, culture, and education through book access. The process is quite simple. Individuals mail us a letter with themes and subjects they're interested in learning about, and then we go through our inventory selecting the best books for their interest. Once mailed out, their books are free to keep, and we don't place any limits on how many books they're allowed to request. Here at BRAID, we have over 1,000 books categorized by region and tribe. However, in the U.S. alone, there's over 500 federally recognized tribes, and with the huge diversity within American Indian culture, BRAID sometimes doesn't have the resources to meet the interest of these individuals. Which is why we'll be hosting a book drive on February 8th from 1 to 4 p.m. here at UCLA Fowler Museum. The book drive will also include a dance and opening prayer, as well as a panel to hear from system-impacted American Indians, including cultural advisor Shannon Rivers. Come learn about BRAID's impact and be part of our future work by donating slightly used materials that will be sent out to incarcerated individuals.
Y un evento en Nuevo Mexicaslan, New Mexico. Tiwa Women United invites mujeres every first Friday of the month from 12 noon to 2 p.m. for the Grief and Loss Healing Gathering at the Tewa Women United's Española campus, 1003 Fairview Lane, Española, New Mexico. To quote their Instagram page, in the framework of reproductive justice, healing from loss is as essential as the fight for access and rights. People navigating miscarriage, abortion, infertility, stillbirth, infant loss, or the death of a loved one often face silence, stigma, or isolation. Loss and grief support groups provide a vital collective space where these experiences are acknowledged as part of the full spectrum of reproductive life. Bring an item for the altar. Food and beverages will be provided. For more information, visit their webpage, tewawomenunited.org. That's TEWAWOMEN United.org. Y un evento desde Tejaslan. This Saturday, Las Peras Cafe presents Resistencia, an all-vinyl salsa night brought to you by DJ Ortiz. You can find him at DJ Ortiz with a ZZZZ at the end on Instagram. Let us transport you to another time and place, and let us channel the strength of our ancestors through dancing, music, and traguitos. Come by for this free night event between 9 and midnight. That's 9 p.m. to midnight. Where? 3401 Harrisburg Boulevard, Suite J, Houston, Texas. For more info, find them on Instagram by searching Las Perras Cafe. y un evento en Sur Califas. The Teolia Healing Women's Healing Circle announces on Instagram, just one day after Valentine's, when love is still lingering in the air, we'll be turning that energy inward into the heart, into the body, into the parts of ourselves that are asking to be seen and held. This gathering will be centered around self-love, the kind that invites us to soften toward all of who we are, the parts we're proud of, the parts we're still learning to understand, and the parts we have been waiting patiently for our compassion. Together we'll sit in reflection, presence, and shared experience, opening space to explore what it means to love ourselves more fully, more gently, and more truthfully, exactly as we are in this season. If your heart has been asking for deeper connection and devotion to your own becoming, this circle is for you. The Healing Circle is held every third Sunday. This time around, the gathering is on Sunday, February 15th from 1 to 3 p.m. Bring your yoga mat, journal, and pen to talk, speak, and speak from the heart. Where? 479 West 4th Street, San Bernardino, Califas. That's San Bernardino, Califas, 92401. For more information, visit TEYOLIA Healing. That's TEYOLIA Healing on Instagram. Y otro evento en Burquia, Nuevo Mexicaslan. The Albuquerque Museum, an art museum, announces Don't Miss Delia Montaya's exhibit, Activating Chicana Resistance, opening February 7th. The exhibition includes over 100 prints, photos, and art pieces exploring Chicana identity, history, and resilience. For more info, visit www.cabq.gov.
We'll be right back after a word from our contributors.
I'm Scott Russell Duncan, a Chicano writer, editor, and AztlanWeekly reporter with the widest name. AztlanWeekly is produced in association with Maiz Poppin' Press, where we publish radical imagination and resistance writing that pops. Visit maizpoppin.com. We're also in association with the Palabras del Pueblo Writing Workshop, an affordable and accessible online workshop that centers La Raza and strengthens our own literary institutions. Writing that speaks to our community first and loudest. See more at palabrasdelpueblo.com.
And now back to Aztlan Weekly.
And now Aztlan Weekly presenta Aztlan y Más, porque as the saying goes, we bring Aztlan with us everywhere we go.
¿Qué hola, raza? This is Yvette Xochillot reporting from Orange County, Califas. I am the project manager of La Raza Database Research Project.
And this week, we are going to talk about the two agents who shot and killed Alex Preddy on January 24th, 2026, whose death has been officially ruled a homicide. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Our two vendidos, Jesus Ochoa and Raimundo Gutierrez of Customs and Border Protection. Are we surprised though? I would even dare to say that these two vendidos are the actual embodiment of these forced identities, Hispano and Latino, because they are not raza and they are not for raza. It was interesting to say the least. The netizens were talking about cartel theories, mafia conspiracies, Sicario fantasies, and obviously moral shock performances.
But if you ask me, I think all of that is a distraction. I feel like jumping straight to organized crime narratives only protects the state. To better understand this, we need to talk about the assimilation myth. The same one that tells our people, if you speak right, wear the uniform and enforce the law, if you prove loyalty, if you're one of the good ones, right? Maybe, only maybe, you'll be safe. For those people with their selective outrage, I don't think they understand that this is a product of colonization. And colonization only makes use of us. And when that usefulness turns into some sort of liability, just look how quickly they're disposed of. Their names, all for the public to see, and try to calm their outrage. But those of us who live inside the belly of the beast, we know that it doesn't love its enforcers, but it feeds on them, especially when it's convenient. So pay attention to what happens every time. A commander gets reassigned. An official steps aside. A press conference promises review. But the structure remains untouched because the system only survives through offering symbolic sacrifices. This selective outrage, where people act like this is shocking or it's something new, it's not really because the state violence that's happening. It's only because it finally happened to people who they thought were safe. For us, for our raza, for our gente, and our communities, we know that we've been surveilled, raided, criminalized, that our people have been dying in custody for years. We can say that the only thing that changed is the audience. We know in this country, and especially in California and the Southwest during the 1920s and 30s, our gente were subjected to racist IQ testing that labeled them as mentally deficient. Those results justified school segregation, vocational tracking, and preparation for the labor force. Meanwhile, the white children were routed towards law, medicine, governance. See, the assimilation lie tells us that we are only meant to serve. That logic continues to haunt us till this day. And now, these vendidos just get to wear a uniform. The military, border patrol, law enforcement, ICE, recruit in our barrios reservations in the working, poor class immigrant neighborhoods and the high schools who they determine that our kids have limited futures. This forced assimilation is branded as some sort of opportunity, stability, legitimacy, a form of coerced assimilation under economic pressure. The result, cultural erasure. Because when people are disconnected from their land, language, people, from their teachings, it's easier to tell people who they are and not who they're meant to be when they have no memory. The only surprise here is for the vendidos, who are finally realizing their badge does not protect them. It only slows the pace that they're taken to the slaughterhouse. Assimilation does not make anybody safe. It makes us legible, predictable, and that legibility never comes with protection. The beast only consumes obedience just as easily as resistance, and maybe sometimes faster. And just to conclude, for any vendidos out there who are still buying the assimilation myth, I only have one thing to say. They don't like you either.
Reporting for AztlanWeekly, this is Yvette Xochillot. You can learn more about this work through La Raza Database Research Project, or you can find me on social media as Yvette, Ivette, Xochillot, Xochiyotl. Muchas gracias.
My name is Shista Garcilaso, and I'm reading a statement from Andrea Martinez, New Mexico State Representative from La Raza Unida. While this issue is national in scope and not specific to New Mexico, I believe it is important to address it publicly because it speaks directly to our shared responsibility to protect children and to uphold justice. Raza Unida does not and will never stand by individuals or systems that enable the abuse, exploitation, or harm of children. Recent disclosures related to the Jeffrey Epstein case have reopened deep wounds for survivors and for communities across the country, not only because of the alleged acts themselves, but because of how victims were treated in the process. It is profoundly disturbing that victims' identities and images were released without sufficient protection or regard for their safety and dignity. Survivors should never be re-victimized by exposure, negligence, or institutional failure. Their privacy and humanity must be safeguarded at all times. Equally troubling is the lack of unified outrage across political lines. The records indicate that individuals associated with both major political parties appear in these files. Child exploitation is not a partisan issue, it is a moral and human issue. Selective outrage, silence, or minimization, regardless of political affiliation, undermines accountability and erodes public trust. As a Chicana leader, I cannot separate this moment from the ongoing crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. While I'm not making direct or speculative connections, it is impossible to ignore the historical reality that Indigenous children, migrant children, and other marginalized youth have too often been overlooked or failed by systems meant to protect them. My heart is with all survivors of sexual exploitation and abuse. I am deeply saddened by the harm they endured and by the continued absence of clear accountability for those responsible. The lack of meaningful consequences sends a devastating message to victims everywhere. Our children deserve better. Justice requires transparency, courage, and accountability, no matter how powerful the individuals may be. I stand with survivors, I stand for dignity and truth, and I will continue to demand systems that protect the vulnerable rather than shield the powerful.
This is Alejandro Valles with AztlanWeekly, and I have chosen this week to interview MB streetwear owner Marvin Baltazar. He also owns Mexa Boys, another streetwear and graffiti club. They are hosting a workshop with another local fashion designer named Con Tiempo, Julio. And in this upcoming interview, I'm telling you when, why, where I chose Marvin. He is an artist, a rapper, and honestly, a scholar of Mexican and Chicano traditions and arte. So please check out Marvin's work at MB Streetwear at Instagram and TikTok, as well as Marvin Baltazar, MarvinBaltazar, and Mexa Boys on Instagram. Historically, our people have come together around arte in these troubling times and around artists, poets, and other creatives to tell our story from our point of view. Here in Puebla, York, I'm new and I'm learning a lot of things. And alongside learning Chicano tradition and heritage, I've learned these facts. At the same time, I got to know Marvin, who welcomed me into his office to show me around all of his arte, inspired by graffiti and our culture. Ya no sé qué pedo, pero les seguimos en el pinche juego, pintando paredes, jugando handball, con el pinche moquito. This is Alejandro Valles with AztlanWeekly, and I have Brooklyn-based Bushwick artist Marvin Baltazar here to talk about his upcoming event. Marvin, first I want to thank you for joining me and talk about some of these current things that are going on. And I really appreciate it. First of all, I want to say that I saw Chris Warhammer wearing your shirt at a fight event, and he's part of the UFC. That's pretty amazing, and I expect that type of thing for you, and I'm really happy for you. When did it hit you that your work was reaching spaces like that?
That was crazy, bro. Yeah. Shout out to Chris, and yo, I don't know. I didn't even realize, like, until I saw his picture, he was wearing it. I was like, damn. I don't know. I still haven't processed it, but yo, I mean, that's a big goal, you know? It's the UFC. You never know. And that's why I keep going, bro.
That's so sick. He wore it to an event this last week, didn't he?
Yeah, bro. He went to a fight, and he wore it.
Simone, bro. Okay, I listened to the song you sent me. How long have you been rapping, and what originally pulled you into music?
I don't really consider myself like as a rapper or some shit like that as a musician. Why? Because I don't know. I was just playing with the homies, with Sombra and Hug. I was just playing. But if you see it like in the musician side, if you see it in that way, I loved it, because I was saying some real things from my life.
Yeah, you could feel it. That back to the '90s flow. That's the name of the song too.
Back to the 90s, putos, tirando bombas con aerosol o con rodillo, no importa, el punto es sentirse vivo, ya se la saben que pedo con los Mexaboys, tirando desmadre en el pinche cantón, para que le corre perra, si esto es real, sacando la mierda que llevo dentro, al estilo unión fatal, gracias a que te fuiste, encontré ganas de vivir en el arte del realismo, perra. Me siento al borde del precipicio, solo con los demonios de la office. Ya ni me siento entumido, pero no hay pedo, le sigo en el pinche ruedo. Ya no sé qué pedo, pero les seguimos en el pinche juego, pintando paredes, jugando handball, con el pinche monquito, Vito Hawk. No se les olvide la pinche sombra.
Este es otro carnal, hecho en México, del estado de Puebla, en una antigua ciudad de mi que Cholula la bella. Así está el pedo, cruzando de boleto pa'l gabacho. Aquí andamos girándole.
And rap is very close to poetry. Do you find yourself writing or studying poetry, or has that influence been there naturally in your music?
Nah, it was all it started because of those homies, Sombra and Hug. They came to the office and they were doing their music. I was doing my paintings and all that, and they was like, "Yo, you wanna hop on this beat?" I was like, "Sure, why not?" At the beginning, it was like all whack, but like after they used to send me the beats, they was like, "Yo, get ready. Whenever we go back to the office, we're gonna do this song. So I'm gonna send you the beat, and then you write something, and then whenever you come back, boom, we do it." And that's how it started. So after I started writing, I was like trying to do some lyrics with about my life and about the situations I've been living.
Big up to the homies for pushing you in that direction.
Yeah, bro, you never know where can it take you,
All you need is one homie to push you in the right direction, a positive influence like that to explode a different side of your creativity.
Right. Yeah, bro. Like you came to the office too, and you was writing only, and now you're doing interviews. Yo, that's so fucking sick, bro.
Yeah, I gotta thank you for that, bro.
Yeah, bro. Fuck. You keep growing.
Thank you, homie. That kind of leads into another question. I see that you're doing a lot with the homie Con Tiempo. You have an event coming up, and that's something that I really wanted to shout out for you. Can you give us some more info on this event?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm gonna be airbrushing with him. He's gonna bring some poetry, some and it's gonna be a cool event because I haven't been in one like that. It's gonna be my first one, and I don't know. Honestly, I expect a lot because it's poems and poetry. So I don't know. It's a new thing for me. So I hope I like it. But we're gonna do airbrushing and there's gonna be more vendors.
Shout out to homie Con Tiempo. Presents Sentimientos, a gallery dedicated to poets and storytellers, February 7th, 2026, from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Tequila Time Cafe, 6-75 Seneca Avenue, Ridgewood, New York. So what was the moment when you realized that this was more than a hobby and it started to feel like a real path for you?
I don't know. I still feel like it's a hobby, because I feel like no one's perfect, and you never know what can happen like the next day. So I really try to do my best, and I try to create something new every day, you know. So you never know what can happen the next day, the next hour. So um, I still keep it like as a hobby, and I really love it. So I keep doing it with love, bro.
Yeah, that's visible, homie. That's very visible. Like the art really is colorful. It pops out. It's like you got different modes too. You got that colorful mode, and you got that like that complete street art mode. You got the homies from the, that means a lot when you, the homies from the streets, like the graffiti artist homies, all support you.
Yeah, bro, the Mexa boys, bro. Shout out to the Mexa boys. Yo, that collection, the Mexa boys is gonna be fire. Shout out to Freddy too, because he was the videographer, and that's the homie that came to do the shoot too. Elmer, shout out to Elmer. He came with Freddy. Yo, it was a great fucking night, bro. And you know, like that's the thing about art. Like it can be colorful and it can be silent, and that's what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to show a message. I'm not trying to show like my real talent, you know. I'm trying to show the message, which is I'm trying to show that graffiti is an art too, and I'm also trying to show that Mexicans are able to do this shit. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if we don't know how to do it. You know, like right now, me, I don't really I don't have my 100% of English, but I keep trying, you know? I keep learning. We're humans, so we keep going, bro. That's the thing about life. We gotta keep trying. We gotta keep moving, bro.
Yeah, you got some fire quotes. Yeah, you drop those quotes like it's nothing. Everything has a solution except death. Is one of your quotes.
Yeah, bro. Because it's true, bro.
You're like, yeah, that's what you told me. You're like, they're not quotes, they're a way of life, or like, it's the truth. That's what you said. And I feel the same way about the Spanish thing too. I don't speak Spanish, but I still gotta immerse myself, especially in these times where they're almost forcing us, they quote unquote, to pick a side.
All humans are the same. Everybody's the same, bro.
I agree with you. So how do you feel about your exposure right now? Are you happy with the reach of your posts, your music, and your designs are getting? And or do you feel like you're still building towards something bigger?
Nah, for sure there is something else bigger than me, than you, than everybody, bro. There's more to go, bro. This is the beginning, bro. I feel like this is the beginning for me. And I still gotta keep working.
That's sick. There's something bigger for me and for you. I agree with that 100%. Well, how can we not be used just for like physical labor type thing? Art and creativity is a big way to subsidize getting away from or having another outlet rather than just working your life away.
Yeah, bro. There's always another way.
Yeah, when you get that check for that art or that book or that appearance, it's like, wow, I got paid for my creativity. This is or you get feedback, positive feedback. It's something real. So they should watch your page and they should watch the Junkie Monkey page.
Yeah, bro.
Okay. And the Junkie Monkey, he spells his name on Instagram with an IE, I think. DRUNKIE, Monkey. And he's also Puebla, York based. And shout out the other homie. Who was the other homie's name again?
Booker Tamales de Mole. That's how you find him. That's the owner of Puebla, York.
As we say in New York, bet. Alright, so your work carries strong messages from MB Streetwear to Mexa Boys to Fac Ice. How do you balance making bold statements while keeping the work creative and accessible?
I'm trying to focus on showing love to the raza, bro, to my people. I'm also trying to make some banners to put it in the buildings against ICE. It's gonna say fuck ICE. So if you're down to put a banner in your own building, let me know. It's our pen. We can work. So I'm gonna start this week. I don't know when you're gonna drop this video or audio, but whenever you hear this or listen to this, just hit me up, bro. I won't expand the word. We gotta fight this because this is not just a regular fight.
That's right. Fuck everything they do, and anybody that wants a banner in their business of some real one-of-one art. And I just want to make a statement that with your skills, your abilities to airbrush, your abilities to sew, fix clothing, take thrifted clothing, and everything else that you do, take new clothing and rebrand it, repurpose it, or take something new. I've seen you have a incredible stock so far that's growing, as you said, that you could see in your last post at MB Streetwear on Instagram and Mecta Boys on Instagram and TikTok and SoundCloud, Marvin Baltazar. You can catch his rap. Thanks again, and you are definitely a cultural icon, bro. I'm glad that you're humble for your own sake. That's dope. I can't wait to see what you do next. Thank you so much for this interview, homie.
Well, thanks to you, bro. You gotta keep growing, and this is another step for you, bro.
O a jugar, y si no nos vamos a deletrear unas pinches bombas, perro. No necesitamos aerosol, cabrón. Usamos los rodillos como los de antaño, perro. No las ingeniamos, Mexa Boys, Puebla, York. Se me va el pedo, pero no hay pedo.
And now Aztlan Weekly presents Where in Aztlan is Scott?
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
Aztlan. Where in Aztlan? Aztlan. Where in Aztlan?
I'm Scott Russell Duncan, Chicano writer and editor with the whitest name, here with Aztlan Weekly with Where in Aztlan is Scott. I'm here with Carlos Montes and our original Brown Beret, and he's going to tell us who he is, and more importantly, where he is. So Carlos, maybe you can tell us about yourself and where you are.
Yeah, hello everybody. This is Carlos Montes. I'm at the statewide conference of the Partido de la Raza Unida. We just concluded a great organizing conference. A lot of unity, a lot of good plans. The plans is to go out there organizing our community. I'm with Freedom Road Socialist Organization. We believe Chicano power, self-determination for Chicanos, and we're anti-imperialist. We leave Chicano liberation, so we consider the Partido a strong ally in the struggle for Chicano liberation. So I'm here in San Jose, in the neighborhood here, uniting the young people, elders, there's brown berets, black berets, there's even a Mexican chapter here. So yeah, it's good to be here.
Yeah, so we're here at it's the first Chicano Raza Unida conference, California conference in a while. And maybe you can tell us a little bit, like, what do you thought about the event?
No, I thought it was a great event. It was focused on organizing in the community, fighting back against ICE, fighting back against the U.S. Monroe Doctrine, U.S. Empire. And we had opening speeches by Ernesto Ayala, one of the leaders of the Partido Raza Unida. His father was one of the founders, Naro Ayala. And also Rafael Avita opened it up with an opening speech. And then we woke up into work groups, dealing with ICE, how to fight ICE, how to deal with the Monroe Doctrine. And we came out with recommendations for the Partido, what we would like the Partido to do. And there were a lot of great ideas that came out. that basically talks about advocacy, civil rights organizing, but back to grassroots organizing, voter registration, and Ernesto Ayala announced that he's going to run for LA City Council in the 7th District, which is out in the valley.
So you're also a founding Brown Beret. Maybe you can tell us about what drove you to form the Brown Berets, and and also what you might see from that drive from back then and today.
Yeah, well, I mean, I am one of the original founders of the original Brown Beret with other folks, Ralph Ramirez, David Salcido, Cruz Olmeda, David Sanchez, de Orianes, Gracie, and Hilda Reyes, right? So what drove us to organize is to fight for our rights. We were facing discrimination in all forms, police abuse, racist education, channeling into the Vietnam War. So we said we need to form an organization to fight for our rights. We became politicized, so not just for our rights, but for our liberations. And also we used the Brown Beret to promote and instill pride in being Chicano. Because back then people were ashamed of being brown and Chicano, right? So with brown is, we're proud. Moreno es bonito, be proud of being brown, down with the brown, right? And then when we said we're going to take action, we acknowledged that the past generation, the 40, 50, did good work, but we wanted to continue that legacy and take it to another level by organizing protests against killings, police killings, by organizing walkouts, by organizing the Chicano moratorium against the war in Vietnam, and by supporting the Black Liberation Movement. So the struggle continues today. I'm glad to see that today we had Black Berets, Brown Berets, and they're serious about uniting and organizing. I want to put an emphasis that we have to organize as a community, block by block, street by street, city by city, and organize into campaigns, into organizations.
So the same things remain true today as back then, right?
Well, things are worse now because of Trump. Yeah, things are worse, really bad.
Great to hear.
Yeah, things are worse. But people are fighting back. There was a massive demonstration in LA yesterday. Today is what, January 31st? Mm-hmm. So January 30th, there was a big demonstration. And, I'm part of the Legalization for All network. We're 20 different chapters all over the U.S. I'm with Central CSO. We fight against police killings, for public education, and for immigrant rights. And we helped organize the Legalization for All network, and we supported the people in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So we have a chapter of the Legalization for All.
So you've been participating in the struggle and organizing for quite some time. What would you tell someone organizing, or young people that organizing today? What would you say they need that would help them to continue?
What do you say they need?
Yeah. What will help them? You need a plan. There you go.
No, what I would tell the new organizers of today is have confidence and rely on the people, or working people. They know what to do. You got to unite with them. You got to organize together with them. Out of every neighborhood, there are people that want to fight. And so unite with them, organize them, form an organization, come up with a plan, and fight back.
Absolutely.
All right, so the struggle continues. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, yeah. I want to thank you for your continued inspirations and for continuing the struggle. I'm Scott Russell Duncan here with Carlos Montes, and that's where an Aztlan Scott is.
All right.
Aztlan. Where in Aztlan is Aztlan. Where in Aztlan. Yeah.
Now we return you to our regular scheduled program.
And now AztlanWeekly presenta Palabra.
I'm starting to see an uptick in videos of a bunch of revisionist history and oppression Olympics amongst black and brown content creators. And this usually happens every few months, most typically around Black History Month, Hispanic Heritage Month, and Native American Heritage Month. And it always increases during these times because it would create unity if the true history of black and brown unity was actually discussed. So people either start revising history or they leave out key nuanced details that creates a different version of history for people who don't know better. The narrative has to be spun in such a way that shows that even when black and brown people had unity, then something happened and always fucked it up, you know. Everybody started conforming to whiteness and they just turned on each other type shit. Failing to realize that the divide and conquer tactics that were used then are the same divide and conquer tactics being used now. And when it wasn't realized then, we should have learned from history so we could recognize when it's being used now. And that's not happening. People are weaponizing history and they're being hypocrites. See, you can't tell the real history of black and brown unity, which was more often than not, because if you did, well, then that would inspire black and brown unity, right? And they don't want that, right? So let's discourage black and brown unity. Let's revise the history a little bit. Let's make it seem like while there may have been some unity, they eventually turned their backs on each other. But they leave out the nuance. They leave out the divide and conquer tactics that were used to manipulate people and groups. We talk about COINTELPRO, but act like that was just something that happened during the Civil Rights era, when in fact COINTELPRO is a common tactic that's been used ever since they started colonizing. For the rest of you, don't fall for the fucking bait. When you start seeing content creators start playing the oppression Olympics, start pointing fingers at other groups of people and not pointing fingers at themselves, that should be a red flag. See, as content creators, we should be holding a certain type of responsibility to our platforms, because our platforms can be powerful. I have a semi-decent following. People I will never meet in my life from all around the world have seen my videos. And how I explain history or how I give a perspective and the nuance behind that is important so that some random person I will never meet in another country doesn't get misinformation. And a lot of content creators don't take that power serious, or they do, and they purposefully use that power to harm. They haven't tied their power to responsibility. And last but not least, don't take what content creators say at face value. I always encourage people to dig more into the shit I say, do their own research, and fact check me. You should never blindly take what I say at face value. Not because I'm lying to you, but because it should always be habit that you look into what people are saying and making sure that the information is correct. And also remember that those that are being divisive amongst the black community, amongst the indigenous community, amongst the other brown communities, realize they don't speak for entire communities. So when they act like they're speaking for all, they're only speaking for themselves. And don't place their personal hatred onto that of the entire community. Because everybody can point fingers all day long. But can you handle when the finger gets pointed back at you?
That was our hermana Brown Pride Girl. You can find more from her on Instagram by searching Brown Pride Girl.
And now, Curly Tlapoyawas, Aztlán Classics.
El Fego Baca is a Chicano icon whose life story embodies the resilience and pride of the Mexican-American people. Born in 1865 in the dusty western town of Socorro, New Mexico, Baca grew up witnessing anti-Mexican racism at the hands of American cowboys. At just 19 years old, he came to the aid of his fellow Mexicans, sparking a legendary 36-hour gunfight where he held off over 80 Texas cowboys. Baca later became a U.S. Marshal and a lawyer, dedicating his career to protecting the rights of Mexican Americans in a rapidly changing frontier. His legacy is still honored in Reserve, New Mexico, with a spectacular bronze monument that bears his quote, "I will show the Texans there is at least one Mexican in the county who is not afraid of an American cowboy. Que viva el Fuego Baca."
And now Aztlan Weekly presenta Hablas Nahuatl, featuring Paquilitzli.
G'day everyone. As a Nahuatl teacher, I am constantly asked this very particular question, which is how to pronounce the name of this deity, the feathered serpent deity in Mesoamerican cultures. And in the original Nahuatl pronunciation, you pronounce it Quetzalcoatl, Quetzalcoatl, Quetzalcoatl. Now, I hear a lot of people pronounce it as Quetzalcoatl, and even that's how my archaeology professor used to pronounce it, but it's really Quetzalcoatl, Quetzalcoatl. If you're having trouble with the last sound, the TL sound, you pronounce it with your tongue between your teeth, like making a T sound, expel air to the sides of your mouth, and then do that quickly and forcefully. So that's how you would say it, Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl.
That was our hermano Paquilitzli. For more from him, search Paquilitzli on Instagram. You can also find him on YouTube by searching the same name, spelled Paquiliztli.
And now Aztlan Weekly presents Maestro Speaks con Rafael Avitia.
What's up, gente? What's up, Raza? I just want to send a shout out to all the young people out there, all the high school students and all the students throughout the country who are taking it to the streets, letting it be known that, this is wrong. ICE has got to go. Straight up, ICE has got to be abolished. And the youth, the young people, they know this. And so big shout out to everybody who's organizing, especially those young people who are doing it on their own. And I'm so proud to see this happening throughout the nation. It shows that they're listening. So big shout out to the youth out there. And with that said, this weekend, don't forget, we have ICE out of Aztlan, and that is on February 7th. That is at 10 a.m. And we're going to gather at Mariachi Plaza in East LA. A lot of us are going to be out there making sure that we, continue to amplify this message that ICE needs to go. ICE has got to go, and especially out of Aztlan. And when we talk about Aztlan, we're talking about California, Texas, Nuevo Mexico, Arizona, all the 7 stolen states, including parts of Wyoming, Oregon, and Utah. You've got Colorado. You got all these states because the United States wasn't always as big as it is today. Right? And so when we say ICE out of Aztlan, we mean it. We want people to be out there on Saturday. Go out there. And if you want to do a marcha with us, we're going to be doing a march down the streets of LA. And we're going to be doing a rally as well before and after the march. We're going to have some incredible speakers as well as Jack Ariola. He's going to be out there and he's going to be performing. So again, ICE out of Aztlan in East LA, February 7th, 10 a.m. Now, for those who may be looking for something to do also during that day in another part of the country, look up your local Brown Berets, Southeast Dallas, for example. Look up your local Brown Berets, and other states, including, I believe now Chicago. They'll be doing something, including that attacking this issue of ICE out of Aztlan. So big ups to them. And again, going back to what I started with, these young people, man, that they're showing that resilience, they're showing that resistance, that heart, they're hungry. They know it's their mom and dads, it's their grandparents, it's their tios and tias that are being dragged out of their homes. They're being hunted down like animals out in the wild, that are being stopped no matter who they are, where they were born, as long as, they got the brown skin, as long as they speak a different language or with an accent, as long as they're working in a job that is, quote unquote, something you can identify them as according to the Supreme Court. That's when you do that, you criminalize an entire community of people, an entire race of people, for that matter, ethnic groups, and you criminalize a lot of their parents and young people ain't gonna sit there and take it. So big props, big ups to all the young people taking to the streets. Try to keep it, peaceful as possible. I'm not gonna tell you how to do it, because the truth is, I didn't want anybody to tell me how to do it when I was, doing stuff in college, when I was protesting, and when I was speaking out. And so for all the young people, make sure you know what you're doing and what you're saying, because this is about a human right. This is about human rights. It's about our dignity as a people. And for young people out there taking to the streets, standing up for their grandmothers, their grandfathers, and their parents and their whole communities, big props, much love. Keep it up. Don't let nobody tell you that you're not on the right path there, because you are. Your heart and your mind know that you got to speak up and speak out against this injustice, this Nazi-style hunting of our gente. So big ups, and we will see everybody out there Saturday, February 7th, but we will encourage our young people to join us. As a matter of fact, when I decided to do this, I just want to make sure that we let young people out there know, high school students out there know, college students out there know that we'll be out there Saturday, February 7th, 10 o'clock at Mariachi Plaza in East LA. Come out, join us, bring a sign, bring a flag, bring a megaphone, and be ready to march, and be ready to, take it in, and be ready to speak out and voice your opinion. Because if we don't get rid of ICE now, it's only going to get worse. All right. With that, I'm out. Aho. Que viva la raza.
For more from Maestro Avitia, visit his YouTube page by searching Maestro Avitia.
And now, Aztlan Weekly presenta Pa' que sepan.
Why do people in LA use the Cholo Clown mask iconography? You see this mask on tattoos, face paintings, and physical masks all over LA. But where did it even start? The closest connection to the Cholo Clown mask is the old comedy and tragedy masks from ancient Greece. These masks come from Greek theater, where artists wore large painted faces so audience could read emotions from far away. One mask smiled to represent comedy, and the other cried to represent tragedy. Together, they became the symbol for highs and lows of life, and one of the earliest visual languages in storytelling. Freddy Negrete is the first known person to draw the Smile Now, Cry Later mask the way we recognize them today. There is a theory based on visual similarities that connects the Cholo Clown back to the old comedy and tragedy masks. While Freddy was in juvenile hall, he drew two faces, one smiling and the other one crying, inspired by the soul song Smile Now, Cry Later. He mailed the drawings to friends, and they started asking for tattoo designs on their arm, backs, and legs. His sketches spread throughout the system and became the foundation of the Cholo Clown. The masks reflected what young Chicanos were living. You had to be tough to survive, so you wore a smile in public even when you were really hurting. You hid fear behind your humor, you balanced joy with danger. The image became a code that expressed what words cannot. As the masks evolved, artists added sharp eyeliner, bold lines, and teardrops until they became the Cholo Clown. The Cholo Clown mask spread throughout letters, murals, and tattoos, and became part of everyday life in LA. I remember getting mail from my uncle when he was incarcerated with drawings of the Cholo Clown and other Chicano iconography, but I was too young to understand what it fully meant until today. Mr. Cartoon grew up seeing clown faces tattooed on the arms of older men in his neighborhood, so the image became part of his visual language early on. He started airbrushing murals around Los Angeles, shaping a style built from fine line prison ink, lowrider art, and Chicano storytelling. When his career expanded into tattooing, murals, and brand work, the clown stayed as a signature symbol that appeared on album covers, merch, and custom pieces. His influence reached a wider audience when he designed collectible clown masks for teams like the Dodgers, turning a neighborhood art form into an icon recognized across California and the world. Today, the Cholo Clown lives throughout artists like Jennifer Hernandez in Southgate, who paints her clown lines as a tribute to people she grew up with. For her and many others, the Cholo Clown is a living art form, a way of showing pride in the neighborhoods that shape them. So what began as a drawing became one of the most recognizable faces in Los Angeles, carrying decades of emotion, memory, and identity. So next time you're in LA and you see a mural of the Cholo Clown, or you see someone with a Cholo Clown tattoo, now you know what it means. So what do you think about the Cholo Clown?
That was our hermana Julia G. You can find more from her on Instagram by searching Julia XGON. That's Julia XGON on Instagram.
And now, shout-outs.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. This is Robert Armidas here. So I just wanted to talk about the next book rec, which is The Devil's Highway by Luis Alberto Urrea. Luis actually joined us on the Brown Book Club about a year ago, and he had a lot of great things to say. Back to the book. The Devil's Highway is a powerful true story that retraces the deadly 2001 journey of 26 Mexican men who crossed the Arizona desert, known as the Devil's Highway, in search of a better life. Only 12 survived. Urrea, who grew up on both sides of the U.S.-Mexico border, captures their humanity and the brutal realities of immigration with deep compassion and poetic force. His writing blends journalism and storytelling to expose how U.S. policies, poverty, and hope collide in the desert. Luis is an award-winning author, poet, and essayist, often called a border writer for his lifelong work exploring the life between Mexico and the U.S. When he joined the Brown Book Club, he spoke about dignity, belonging, and how stories like these remind us that immigration is not just politics, it's about people, families, and survival. Check it out.
We'd like to make a shout out to Curly Tlapoyaba for allowing us to feature his Aztlan Classic series. You can find more Aztlan Classics episodes by visiting the Instagram page. Search Aztlan Classics. If you would like to hear more from Curly, he and Ruben Tlaquetecat co-host the podcast Tales from Atlantis. You can find the show wherever podcasts are available. Search Tales from Atlantis. And we'd also like to make another special shout out to Hennessy Pedro Parker. Desde Houston, Texaslan, for providing his firme music and beats to go out the program. If you'd like to hear more from him, visit soundcloud.com/Hennessy-Pedro-Parker. And once again, our camarada Veronica Aliel would like to give a shout out to all Raza who are in any way contributing to building locally in their communities. And a definite invite to join El Partido Nacional de la Raza Unida to build national Raza political power. If interested, visit razaunidaparty.org. That's razaunidaparty.org. And finally, Aztlan Weekly would like to hear from you, Raza. If you reside anywhere in Aztlan and would like to share newsworthy events with us, or if you would like to make a special shout out to family, friends, y queridos, or an organization serving our community, or if you would like to share your thoughts, cáiganle. Shoot us an email at news@aztlanweekly.com, or you can visit our website at aztlanweekly.com. You can also find us on social media. Search Aztlan Weekly and click follow, subscribe, like, or share. Gracias.
Thanks for listening, Raza. Hasta luego.
Que viva la raza y que viva Aztlan libre. Es todo.
Minutes, Coordinated Universal Time.